In this segment on programming simulations, we're going to look at looping again because looping is such a powerful part of computer programming. And it's so powerful that sometimes we like to do our loops in different ways using different types of commands and functions. So we're going to look at a different kind of looping here. This kind of loop is known as a for loop. And in this programming language, Python, we'll do it something like this. We're going to say for x in range, and then we're going to give a range of values, and we're going to say something like 1 to 10. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. In order for the commands to loop underneath this for, they have to be indented. So I'm going to go ahead and take all of these guys and highlight them. And by the way, again, you can do it with just your keyboard. Hold the shift key and then arrow down, or hold the shift key and arrow up. Okay, and then hit the tab key, and boom, you get the perfect indentation, and those guys will then all execute under this for loop. Okay, so this should run 10 times. Let me double check. Let me go ahead and hit run. I think there's going to be an error here. And the reason why well, first of all, before I tell you, can you tell me, what do you think is the error? Why is it not running? Why does it say there's a problem in line 3? All right, I'm going to tell you what I think it is. It is because there is no colon there. Before I do my loop, whether it's a for or a while, before I do my if, before I execute the other statements after my initial statement, I need a colon to say, hey, do these things. So this colon here says to the computer, do these things that are indented below it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Let's see if this works. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And whoa, sure enough, it does. By the way, if some of you are in disbelief that that loop is actually working, let's change it to a different number. I'll make it 3 instead of 10. Ooh, wow, there is something a little bit wrong there. Maybe it didn't do it 10 times. Let's put in the number 2, I guess. What happens then? It only does it 1 time. So for some strange reason, now, I wonder if maybe I have to start with a 0 to make it happen. I'm going to go 0 to, but nah, that still doesn't make sense. I'm going to say 0 to 3. I'm kind of curious what happens here. And that gets me 3. Still though, 0 to 3 is 4 numbers. 0, 1, 2, 3. That's 4 numbers. So not entirely sure why it's working this way, but I'm assuming it's not taking that last number. Good to know. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and go like 1 to 11, knowing that's going to get me 10 trials. And I'll go ahead and hit run. Again, if you don't believe it, I'll do 1 to 4, and that should get me 3 trials. Okay, so we're going to go 1 to 11. Now, something else that I'd like to do is sometimes I'll have a variable, or I'll have a number that I'll use all the way throughout my code, and I reuse that same number over and over again. And then periodically I like to change that one number all throughout my code. So what I do is I make up a variable. In this case, I'm going to call it max trials. And I'll set it to some number like 11. And then instead of using the number 11 wherever I want it, since it is the maximum number of trials I'm about to conduct, I actually just use this variable max trials. Now, if I have max trials all throughout my code, then I only need to change this number in one place, and this will change the number of trials everywhere. And I'll go ahead and hit run again just to make sure you can see we get 10 runs of the simulation. And this is kind of a wimpy simulation because all it's doing is choosing a number from 0 to 9 and telling me whether it's Danica, LeBron, or Serena. Okay, so anyways, this is a new loop, and let me see if there's anything else. Oh, one thing that I'm going to try to reinforce as much as I can with you is that in order to write your programs without errors popping up, you're going to have to be very careful about these indentations. If you indent the wrong way, you will get the wrong result. So for instance, if this print here is indented, then when I run this code, it's going to run into an error. I have to indent that print if it's part of my if statement. And if these guys, if this box box is not indented, then I'm going to get an error because it's not going to be able to execute the for statement. And if I eliminate one of these colons and I try to run, I'm going to get an error. Computers are pretty stupid. They don't do what you want, they just do what you tell them to do. Okay, so let's see here. Another thing about this indentation is when you get to the end of a loop, a lot of times you don't want the next statement to loop. Well, in order to make that happen, well, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and I'll unindent one, and then I'll say print done. By the way, I want you to notice that whenever I take strings of characters that I want to be interpreted literally, like Danica or LeBron or Serena, notice I put them in double quotes, okay? All right, so anyways, I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and when I do, I get a lot of dones. I don't want that done to come out every single time. I don't want the done to be in the loop. The way I get the done out of the loop is to hit delete and make sure it is not indented. If it's indented, it's going to be part of the for loop. If it's not indented, then it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and now I just get one done at the end. And even if I have other code, I'm kind of curious what happens if I have something below that. What if I have print hello at the very end, and what if I indent that? Do you think that will run in the loop? Let's give it a try. The answer is no, it doesn't run in the loop, and Python does not like the fact that I indented it. So let's unindent and then run. Yay! Okay, so all the code is working so far. Great. So we have a new way of looping in addition to the while loop, and we have these if-thens that'll let us do lots of cool things. So the next thing we're going to try to do is we're going to try to see if we can count the number of Danicas that we get if we run this trial many times. So I'm going to go ahead and add a command under the print Danica, and I'm going to say count equals count plus 1. That'll make count go up one time every single time I get a Danica. Now, the program's not going to like this. I'm going to go ahead and try running it. It should come up with an error because count is not defined on line 9. So what we'll do is we'll go up before the for loop and we'll say count equals 0. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And now that should work. The only problem is I don't know how many Danicas because I didn't print them. So at the end, instead of printing done, I'm going to print count, just count, and then we'll see how many Danicas. So here we go, run. So it says 2 Danicas, and sure enough, there are 2. I'll go ahead and hit run again. And 2 Danicas. I'll hit run again. This time 4 Danicas. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of cool. It counts the Danicas for me. Now we could do a similar thing with LeBron and Serena. I just wanted to show you the Danica one. In fact, I think what I'm going to have you do is I think I want you to it's going to be a little tricky to count the LeBrons and the Serenas separately from the Danicas. See, the problem is that if I do the exact same thing under LeBron and under Serena, then I might be just counting everything that I get. I'd like a separate count for Danica and LeBron and Serena. So I would like you guys to add the code that's necessary to show me in the end how many Danicas did I get, how many Serenas did I get, and how many LeBrons did I get. And your code should be easy for me to read and understand. I'm going to see if you can take this code and run with it and add the necessary items. All right, so that is your assignment for now. Good luck.